Hey guys, Chris Gogolin here doing weekly episode number 9, I think we're up to, um, of my GEMP game review series. Thank you all for watching and continuing to watch these and like the videos on YouTube. While you're there, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so we can keep content like this coming to you guys fresh every week. We're going to look at a game here in just a minute between two of our top players in the community right now. But before that, we'll do a quick little housekeeping stuff. It's almost the end of May here. We're going to get the June League for the OCS started. Take a quick look at the scoreboard. Our top two players sitting right now, they both went 11 and 1. Arebelspy, that's Joe Olson. Zlorfik, that's Bastion Winklehouse. Stellar performances by both guys. Steve Baroni was right there too. Picked up his second loss last night, so he's gonna be 9 and 2 right now. So he's gonna just miss out this month. He could pick up one more win and get to 32 points, which might help him somewhere down the line if he plays that 12th game or not. Still in contention. Casey's right there. Casey's got 2 games left. He can only get to 30 points. Mike Turner's still alive down there at 7 and 1. He'd have to pick up a few more wins. He's got 4 games left. He'd have to win all 4, and then it would come down to winning percentage as to whether or not he would pass either of these guys. And Crypto's right there also at 5 and 1. So still, 8, 9 days left here in the month. We're going to get the June sign-up started pretty soon. Hopefully some of these guys will start playing again. There's quite a few guys here with 0 points. Xanth, Caldred, I don't know what you guys have been going on. JC, the first month was right there at the top and hasn't played a game since, doesn't look like. Some of these European guys, I know some of the European guys have said they had, with their time schedule, sometimes it can be a little harder to find some games and find opponents on. But I'm finding that, Bastion didn't have trouble getting his 12 games in, neither did Paul or, Tom here, European, huge, Silver Glen, Crypto's gotten a handful of games in, so Alex too, he got 5 games in already this month, so hopefully some of these guys will pick up the slack here as we move into the summer. I know it's starting to get busier for a lot of people here with, as we move into the summer months. Some people it's good for, May's, it's good for them, teachers and things like that. School's just about starting to wrap up. But for some other people, I know summer gets a little busier for them depending on their line of work. So I reached out to some of the top players. It's kind of a thing that people have asked me for, like, hey, can you show some games from some, the top players? That'd be great if they contributed too, and you could see like some of the moves that they make, and kind of understand, that next level thought process. And I'll do my best to explain it. Sometimes some of these guys surprise me too. Just things that didn't see. Didn't see coming, or just card choices and things like that. So funny enough, I reached out to Joe and Bastion and asked them both for game links. Joe responded, I haven't had any really good games lately, so I'll keep an eye out for it next month. Bastion responds and sends me a link of him playing Joe. So I guess we'll take a look and see. Maybe this game was really one-sided and Bastion just steamrolled right over Joe. I don't know. I haven't watched it yet, and maybe that was the thing why Joe didn't want to submit it and send it over. But I guess we'll see what happens there. But we'll get the signups for June for the OCS. Make sure to sign up for that. Even if you don't, want to sign up for that, and you just like playing on GEMP, there's open leagues, there's sealed deck leagues, lots of different things coming up here to join in on. We got the new Solo movie coming out. Also, if you guys didn't check it out yet, The Ringer just did a great article on Star Wars CCG. Actually, I meant to pull that up. Let's pull that up real quick. So we had this wonderful article by Ben Lindbergh. Ben came to the MPC this year, interviewed some of the players and organizers of the event, and then went on to reach out to some people directly who weren't there in attendance. Great article. It's got some great shots of the MPC. See some great some players hanging around here. 45, 50 players that we had. We had 51 this year at the MPC. There's our camera rig in the back that keeps streaming of all our games. You guys get a look at what that actually looks like when you're playing. great stuff there. There's another shot of the camera rig. That's Casey and Bill playing their match. There's also some other nice photos he took of the event, the banners, which we have at the events now. Actually have a new way to hang those up, thanks to Apollyon for bringing us some banner stands to the MPC. So now it was actually much easier at Endor this year using those. So thanks to him for contributing those. But this is a great article that Ben wrote about the history of the game. Why 17 years after it's out of print, we're still going strong. Nice little picture of the advocate, of course, Scott Lingrell, Hall of Famer, lead advocate for over a decade now. Guy who's really been making sure things stay on track in a lot of different areas for us for a very long time. Playing against Chris Kelly, who's always wearing something Yankees related. But lots of great little interviews and stories here from a variety of people that he talked to at the event. If you haven't seen it yet, be sure and check it out. Great little quote here from Johnny Chu. Hopefully we'll get Johnny back at an event sometime soon. That would be awesome. We haven't seen Johnny since Worlds, I think. It's been about 9-10 months. So hopefully Johnny will have some time coming up, and we can get him back at an event. I'm sure he'll show up and do great, as he always does. That's why he's in the Hall of Fame. But definitely check out this article if you haven't. There's just so many little things in it that really just remind you of why this community is as strong as it is, and why people are still playing what everyone talks about. It's a dead game, right? It hasn't been stores in 17 years. Yeah, but you know what? It's still better than your game that's been in the store for 17 years, so suck it. But let's get to this game here between Bastion and Joe. Joe's playing Map, and Bastion's playing Prophet. Bastion is using this version. He's using Solo, which he also picked as his agent, his resistance agent. That's an interesting move. I guess we'll see how that pans out for him. We'll go ahead and start. Map's going to do the typical start with their starting interrupt. Joe's playing Bow and Alert, so we're going to expect to see Thrawn and Chimera in addition to the finalizer, Hux PV space package. I'm not expecting Prophet to really be running too much in terms of space, but hey, you never know. Oh, there it was. So we had an option to get a quick peek there, but I screwed that up. Didn't pause it. I'm sure Bastion will search again. But I did see a home one in there, so it looks like he's probably got a home one Akbar thing going for space. So he's got at least a little bit of space going there. Rebel leadership for Obi. We've got Master Luke. We've got Master Qui-Gon. We've got Saitor. So certainly lots of options here for matching weapons and stuff. This is probably the same deck Joe used at the Endor Grand Prix, so you can go ahead and check out his list from that. It was a very strong deck, did very well for him. And, Map has been a deck that people have asked a lot of questions about, how to beat. That's just so powerful. It gets a very fast start. There's no denying that. Kylo, shuttle, lightsaber, right to the site, right off the bat. And the use pile search. Joe doesn't even have to use it. He already has Jakku out, so this is going to be an even faster start for him. He got a site, he pulled a site, he got Jakku. He's going to get a use pile search, get his lightsaber stacked. If he was playing the Endor Shield version, you'd see guys throw maybe Ozzel on the shuttle and have the shuttle take off. Sometimes you'll see people do that, or because you need resistance agents, first order guys at 2 battlegrounds in order to flip. So you could do like Ozzel and then like Lieutenant Dofeld, who they play like 3 or 4 copies of, and then take off right away. I think we saw Lenny doing that a lot in his matchups at the Endor Grand Prix. He was really aggressive with it, just going right to space turn 1, satisfy battle order, get the drains in at both locations. And really just try and put as much pressure on your opponent as possible. With Saitor start, a main style deck like Prophet, that'd be a very risky play, so I don't think we'll see Joe do that there. Looks like Joe's going to just move the shuttle up. All right, so way to prove me wrong, Joe. I guess Joe's just banking on the fact that Prophet doesn't really run much space, if any at all. Maybe he's got a token ship somewhere in there. but he's not really too afraid of it. He wants to get that quick pressure in. Um, didn't choose to start 2 aliens. He may not even have 2 aliens in his deck. Bastion verifies for Bosch, looks for Bosch shooter, not there. He's just trying to match weapons. All right, so here we go. We got to pause this time. All right, so he's got a home 1 and a home 1 war room. He's got Akbar, so that's and Hashin. So there's a good portion of his space package. We've seen under attack for combat vehicles. There's the blaster ping effect. We got Luke's rifle and Amidala's blaster. BB-8 to help him with the retrieval. Also do additional ping damage because he works with any resistance character. So that's why he's probably using that solo combined with Leia and Rey and Chewie. He's got a couple of different resistance characters possible to do that ping damage. It will also, on the flip side of the objective, allow him to do any type of retrieval he wants. Having BB-8 out, so if he wanted to do something like a Jedi Lev or I think that's probably it. I don't really see anything else in here that would do that. But he's matching weapons. We've got Anakin's lightsaber. He's probably just running. I don't know if he's running Luke's lightsaber as well, or if he's just going to put Anakin's as a dual option weapon. He might do Luke and the gun, or Luke and the saber, and then put the gun out later. So, but he'll grab a farm here, get his 3rd battleground, get some extra force of his own, plays his Jedi Council chamber. So you see they're both activating a ton right off the bat. He's going to use Seeking to pull 3PO. And then he's going to play Rey. Rey's going to give him a used pile search. So we've got Qui-Gon Saber to go with Qui-Gon. There's Boss Nass Chamber to give him more activation that he doesn't really necessarily need at this point. But then we've got both Chewie and Lando. Alter is also a great card. You may grab that now to try and alter the strategic reserves. That's one of the main counter cards, but to try and slow Map down, Map has learned to kind of play around that a little bit. They try not to use Hux to get strategic reserves if they don't have to. They'll use maybe a used pile pull on it or something to get it, and then they'll play oppressive. So that way, when it does get canceled, it goes back to the used pile, and then they can use Hux to get it later. But it does still slow them down for at least a turn, let you get some drains through. So we'll go ahead and see. I would expect Bastion to get the activation for now. He can circle back to some other stuff later. He could also put Luke down if he wanted to. Yeah, Master Luke deploys for free, so he'll do that. Do a used pile search. Now he's going to take the altar. He could go with the lightsaber or the gun. Lightsaber is the better call early on. 2 reasons. It's a better weapon. It gets the 1 out of the deck as opposed to the 5. He's going to use 3PO, put that Jedi Luke back. Doesn't really need that just yet. He'll draw 1 more card. Save a force for the grabber, or possibly to pull Hoojix or something with the escape pod if necessary. But this is going to hurt a little bit, but not too much. He's going to get drained here for 3 force. And I'll put 4 cards in his lost pile. Prophet can withstand this early damage. They usually just top deck most of this stuff because they're pretty confident and pretty comfortable that they're going to free Han and retrieve most of that force. This particular Han is not immune to secret plans, so Joe played secret plans. He's going to make Bastion pay for the retrieval. Joe's going to match Finalizer for Hux, pretty standard. He uses a command probably to pull. He's going to pull Chiranu to increase the force drain potential in space there. Bastion is going to grab that because we do know that he is going to try to possibly fight in space with that home 1 Akbar combo. Bastion did say that this was a relatively new deck for him, so that may explain some of his poor play, as he called it, which I'm sure is still light years away from everybody else. He didn't know what Joe's excuse was, though, so I don't know. Maybe he wasn't impressed with something Joe did, or he just likes talking smack. He's one of the best at both. So, all right, they're gonna go ahead and free Han. There's no coward out, so the retrieval will happen. He'll pay 5 to retrieve the 4 cards he lost. Still a pretty good ratio. There is no decree out. There's no uh, strategic reserves out. Joe will pull battle order. He'll do the 1 damage with the objective. He's not going to pay the 3 now. He's going to put Qui-Gon down instead. We know where Qui-Gon's lightsaber is because it was in the use pile last turn. So we can get that out now, and then possibly we'll see Luke move out, maybe? It looks like he's just going to stockpile for now and play it safe. Draw a couple cards. They're both activating so much force so early. That was just some good lucky early pulls on both players' parts there. Big drain to 3 now at Jakku with Chiranu. This is what, when you're playing against Prophet, this is what decks like to do. They like to try and set up their own little source of damage off Tatooine, especially in space, because Prophet does not typically use much space at all. Get some good damage through, and then force Prophet to pay for its drains with battle order. Force them to try and wait for them to kind of spread out a little bit, so that they have to try and maximize their damage by getting to 2 to 3 different battleground sites, and then it's easier to find ways to attack them. Prophet does also usually run like 2 neighborins, so that could be a concern. You see a bunch of guys piling up in that audience chamber, that he might just neighborin the whole party on over, and smack Kylo in the face. Joe's going to add P-59, provides a little bit of backup, but not a whole lot, and then he runs the risk of being clashed now. Kylo could get clashed, and P-59 could get, beat up pretty good. Joe did save a ton of force, though, so Joe may have an Ellis of his own. He may wait for Bastion to move everybody over, and then he might just Ellis right off Jakku. Yeah, he's bringing the whole party. He's going to grab the neighboring. We're still in control phase. I don't see any disarms or anything. We're going to get a revert here. Did he misclick? Did he not want to bring Solo, 3PO, Rey, Luke, Qui-Gon? That's all 5 guys. Joe still grabs it, so not 100% sure what we missed there. As I anticipated, now Joe with his pile of force left is just going to neighbor away, or Ellis away. The other thing I was curious about, if with Bastion with this much force, what we might see him do is deploy home 1, and then like shuttle Rey and Solo up. He's going to alter strategic reserves. Guess we're still in the control phase. He hasn't drained yet, so I guess he could force drain for 4 there. He's going to use 3. He's going to drain there. He's going to add with each lightsaber. That's certainly one good way to attack map. If you can, like I said, if you can get that card off the table for a turn or two and get a big drain or 2 through, make him peel some cards. Map puts a decent amount of cards on the table, so he looked for Boshuda, not there. Surprise, surprise, no Boshuda. Okay, we got a home 1 war room. I'll let home 1 deploy cheaper somewhere later on. He's going to get ultimatum out now, and I guess he's going to go to a 3rd battleground with Obi. Obi's lightsaber wasn't there. If he even plays Obi's lightsaber, he may not. There may only be just the one Obi in the deck. We saw Luke's lightsaber, Anakin's, and Qui-Gon's sabers. I respect that's probably it, just the 3. And then the 2 blasters for the ping damage. They're high destiny cards, so you don't mind them floating around in your deck. Amidala's gun being a 6, Luke's gun being a 5. So he'll get ultimatum satisfied, limit his force loss there. He looked at the cards in his reserve deck. None of them seemed mission critical, so I'm sure we'll just see him just top deck 4. Joe's going to burn a command, his 2nd command, to get Grievous. Grievous is the card he drew for Ellis Destiny. Bastion's going to exchange 2 cards to get Luke's lightsaber back. He threw away Sorry About the Mesh and Clash, which is okay because Solo can play them from out of the loss pile, so that's still not a big loss there. But right now, Owen and Baru are in a little bit of trouble here. So they're getting seriously outpowered. Their game text is about to be canceled, so they won't even draw Destiny. I'm sorry, it doesn't cancel. Yeah, it does cancel their game text. And you can't play Harvest because there's a Stormtrooper at a Tatooine site. So now we'll see him go pull the Hoojix. Now that Joe's kind of committed a pile of forces. 3PO card back. That's a card he doesn't really need. He's going to leadership for Akbar while he's in there. So this is going to be interesting because we're going to see Owen and Baru go lost. The Hoojix is going to get played. And then he could possibly just old Ben them right back to the farm. And then he could deploy, Leia Lando and try and battle, or more likely he could just, deploy somebody, like deploy Leia and then move Owen and Baru away. Deploy them over here at the Jabba's Palace site and then just move away. Still satisfy the 3 battlegrounds to keep limiting this drain in space. But I strongly suspect that we're going to see him come contest this drain in space this turn. He's got 20 cards left face down, so I don't know if he's necessarily going to be able to battle. in space, but you probably see Akbar to the war room, deploy the ship for 7. Since 2 commands have already been grabbed, we could see Lando show up as well. That would be 12 force, and then you just use 1 and shuttle like Ray up to the ship to give you a resistance agent, because Jakku requires you to have a resistance character or a resistance ship to be able to draw more than 1 destiny. And that would stack a pretty good size group of guys up there at Jakku. That's typically one of the places that you have to do some damage if you're going to try and beat map. You have to attack their space fleet. They only have 3 ships usually in total. They're good ships. They've got good power, decent immunity. Thrawn Chimera adds a destiny, 12 power, 11 power. Yeah, 11 power. And then, the finalizer's usually like 12, 14 power with its pilots and stuff. He's going to do the 1 ping damage. He's going to pass on deploying. We're going to see Leia come down. She's going to go where Obi is. So I wasn't sure where Leia was going to go. In this particular case, he had the Antilles maneuver, so he's going to go for the battle because Antilles maneuver forces you to use a force to fire a weapon. No force saved, so neither P-59 nor Kylo can use their weapons. So he's going to try and attack and take these guys out of play here. Doesn't have another leadership to add a battle destiny. Can retrieve for initiating battle against a First Order character, so that'll get him 2 force back. And he's got 2 destiny left. I would assume Joe's got to have a close call. He's got 8 cards in hand, and we haven't seen one go flying by really in his deck yet. So there's a good possibility of a close call forcing either a redraw or a -3. I know it's only 2 destiny left. I would say it's going to be a redraw, just so that he effectively only has 1 battle destiny. Secret plans will kick in. He'll pay the 2, retrieve 2, get his Hujix back, and old Ben. Joe tried to shoot, but forgot he doesn't have any force. Actually, probably just wanted to see if the game would let you do it. So there's the 5. He'll pass. No close call. Surprising. Maybe Joe doesn't play it because it's just too low destiny. So he's going to go ahead. He's going to get the 2 destiny through, and that's going to be a 9, which is going to clear both guys. Somebody was dying anyway. 5 doesn't really make too much of a difference. Just attrition here. But yeah, Lightside does win the battle. Does force Kylo to lose 2 force because Spectre's not in play. It's a card Joe said that he had taken out of his map deck at Endor. He wasn't really enjoying it. Really didn't seem like he was getting a whole lot out of it. Just kept tracking around the draw for battle destiny and stuff, as opposed to using the card for what it actually is used for. Some people disagree. Typically, you see 2 of them in most decks. At one point, they were running 4, but that was clearly too many. There's lots of better other things you'd rather have in these types of decks. We're going to see Bastion spread out now. He's going to try and maximize his damage potential here. I'm still surprised he moved Qui-Gon over, though. I would have. Oh, it's a non-battleground anyway. Never mind. I would have thought he would have moved Luke at some point to get 1 extra ping from the objective, but it doesn't really matter because Joe takes 9s during Bastion's turn. Okay. Still has the battlegrounds occupied. He's going to get drains of 2 and 2. Continuing to just apply the consistent map pressure of those solid drains. But, there's a decent number of his characters that have already been lost. we could see another Ellis at some point to move those pile of troopers. Four effectively because the troopers +1 from Hux. He's going to no escape P-59 back. That's a good play, especially because either way he's going to draw a 4. P-59 can go shoot Owen and Baru, cause 2 force loss, and then, get a battle destiny. That'll kick him off that 3rd battleground. Let that big drain in space get through. Bastion's going to pull the Hujiks that he retrieved because he tracked his escape pod through his deck, used 3PO to take it back into hand. This is what some people talk about, the ability for tracking. Oh, hey, Dr. E, he did have an alien. It's not just sometimes just for drawing cards in Destiny. You put a card back because it's a high Destiny, but you also sometimes realize that somewhere down the road I may need that card back in my hand to use its game text. That was not a good play. Bastion just used Wisa. He used solos once per game text to play an interrupt from his lost pile. Chose to play Wisa because that was the only one in there that he could play to subtract 1 from the weapon destiny, which still hits. I don't know if he forgot that Hux adds 1, or maybe he just thought something else was in his lost pile, and that would help him better, and then realized, okay, no, wait, this is the only card in there. I have to play it because I looked. So now he's going to lose 2 force for P-59 hitting. And then Dr. E is going to operate and kick them out of there. And now Joe's going to spread out a little bit. Now he's just moving into the audience chamber, getting an interior drain as opposed to an exterior drain. Maybe he just wanted to move some more force around. I don't know, maybe he's thinking at some point in time he's going to end up moving Grievous over, and he just wanted to move now while he could. He definitely has his 3 battlegrounds. He does have resistance out, so that's going to limit the drains a little bit. So we're kind of in a race situation here. So if we stop for a second and we kind of look at, all right, we'll wait for him to play this shield. He's going to play Don't Do That Again before he drains. I guess there's some concern about, we did see a few people playing with always thinking with their stomach. Did pop up in a few decks, so did Lost in the Wilderness. Definitely an interesting card. Not only does it cancel a drain and prevent force loss, but it also can make a guy missing potentially. The shield prevents the missing part, but so if we just stop for a second and just do some math. Bastion's got 15 and 6. He's got 21 left. Joe's got 9 and 13, so he's got 22 cards left. So they're essentially even. There's a 1 card difference in total life force left. We look at Joe's not paying to drain because he's got battle plan satisfied. He's got drains of 2, 2, and 3, which is likely to get reduced down to 2 again in the future, or capped at 2 because of ultimatum. So he's doing 6 damage a turn. So if he can keep that pressure up for another couple of turns, he would win the game in 4 turns. The 4th turn he would be able to drain him out and win. On this side of the fence, Bastion with the Prophet deck. This is a drain to 3. That's a drain of 2. That's a drain of 2. But he has to pay for them all. So while he's, and again, his drains are capped from resistance as well. So while he's doing the same 6 damage that they're both doing, that they're both just trading back and forth, Bastion has to pay for all of his damage. I'm sorry, I forgot to add in the Prophet objective. Add 2 more. So he's doing 8. So he could potentially do more, but he's got less time to do it with because he's got to spend 9 force to drain for 6. The same 6 that Joe's getting for free, and then he's paying for 2 on top of it. If Bastion had battle order satisfied, and he was getting those drains in for free, uh, then he'd be able to just sort of, run the game out like that. He's doing more damage than Joe is, so he really wouldn't have to worry about it. But as long as he still has to pay for all of that damage, then he's effectively going to end up behind. He'll do a little more damage for the first turn. The second turn, he probably won't be able to pay for all of it and then do anything else. And then the third turn, he might not even be able to pay for all of his damage. He may not have 9 cards left face down in order to spend to do all 3 drains again. Sometimes just about just taking a minute, just stopping and just looking at the board state and realizing like what position you're in. Do I have to do anything? Am I in a position where I can just sit back and just, keep pushing the pace? Or yes, I have to do something. That was a huge card. He just used Ray. He just used Ray and drew Hashin, which is a huge card because not only does Hashin, he deploys -2 to any Star Cruiser, so he's effectively free on home 1. He adds 2 more to power, prevents lateral damage from doing anything, adds the hyperspeed and armor. That part's not so much. But 2 more power for free kind of makes this not quite as swingy. I know, obviously, he doesn't want, knowing that it's the alert start, there's a pretty good chance that there is that other ship in there. Joe's got 7 cards left in hand. He only has 11 force left face down, though, to work with, and Joe just top deck a few cards. He can deploy the Chimera. He can't deploy Chimera and Thrawn. That would cost 13, 11 if he could match it somehow, but I can't imagine him finding a way unless he happens to know it's the bottom card of his deck or something like that. But even then, he'd have to put at least a card back and then do that whole thing. So I wouldn't imagine that's going to happen. I mean, he could play Chimera, and that would give him 8 more power, put him up to 27. More likely would be he would just add Thrawn and have a second Battle Destiny for a lot cheaper. That'd give him 22 and a couple of Destiny. If he doesn't have, if he can't find, if Bastion can't track around or draw back into a leadership. Akbar deploys 2 home 1 for free. That includes the sites. So he goes to the war room for free, makes home 1, then deploy -5 and power +3. So home 1 only costs 7. Hashin deploys aboard Star Cruiser for -2, so Hashin goes down for free to the ship, and then we can see Akbar move up for free, moving from the bridge from a related site to to an actual ship site is free, and then he's going to bring Solo up as a pilot as well. This right here, this situation could be where Bash was talking about his misplay, because earlier using the Wisa out of the Lost Pilot Solo, right here would be a better situation to play like a Rebel leadership, but of course he just 3PO'd a Rebel leadership, so the tiny mistake he made, he plays around well enough, so it's not a problem. Bastion's top deck and force throwing away Lando. I don't know why he's clutching onto the Luke's lightsaber. Luke can't hand off Anakin's lightsaber anywhere. These two are on different planets. They're never going to be together. But he's hanging on to this one pretty hard, and I don't know what his reasoning is behind it. As we suspected, there's the leadership. It's going to limit him to 1. So Bastion's down 7. Joe only draws a 3. So Bastion's down 10, but he's got 2 Battle Destiny coming behind it. was an unfortunate draw of Chewy, but a Jedi Lev works out just fine. Jeez, just some top deck tracking, some top level tracking right there. Just moving some cards around and knowing where everything is. 6-5. Gonna get, there's the close call finally from Joe. Okay. So 6-2. That'll be 8. 8 will not break the immunity on the finalizer because PV, wherever. No, PV's not there. He never found PV. He's got Mika, Thrawn, Chiranu on there. So he never found PV, so this ship's only immune to less than 5. So what we're going to end up here with 8 is going to be the shuttle for 5 and Mika for 3. Because Rey's not there, anything to add anything to it. And Bastion will still end up losing the battle by 2, so we're going to have to see him lose 2 cards. He loses Akbar. I'm stumped about that one. That one I got nothing for. Why he would lose Akbar, who's adding a Destiny, when he only had 2 battle damage, and not just lose Hashin. Your guess is as good as mine about that one. There's the profit damage. We've got them at 3 battlegrounds now, because Solo's in space. That counts. Joe's going to concede the game right here. Joe had 15 left straight down. Bastion had 14. But he's going to eat 3 profit damage. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's going to run him down to about 6 cards left. I guess he just felt like he was that far enough ahead that it wasn't going to make much of a difference. So congratulations to Bastion for winning that game. Definitely some, we saw some things there with them, with the neighbor and the Ellis moves on each other. Both kind of setting up for that same thing. They're both looking for that big beatdown. Joe wisely avoided it with his Ellis to prevent taking a big, huge force loss. Bastion used the Hujix, which he did not pull. He sort of knew it was in his force pile and he had used it, kind of waited for Joe to deploy everything to commit to the attack. And then once I realized, okay, yes, I'm not getting a Battle Destiny. I'm down 10 power. I'm going to need something here. Then he went and pulled it after he made Joe commit. He forced Joe to commit before pulling it, not really telegraphing the move. That's something, some other less experienced players would have just, once they recirculated, when their opponent started their turn, would be like, and now I'll go get my Hujix. And then it's like, oh, okay, well then their opponent's going to deploy 1 or 2 less guys now because they know they're not going to get the overflow that they're hoping for. Certainly something to consider there. I apologize. It finally just dawned on me why he's been holding on to this lightsaber so goddamn long. He didn't want Grievous to steal it, so I apologize for that. He didn't want Grievous to steal it and then add to another force drain over there in case he wasn't able to satisfy battle or ultimatum. Or possibly he was thinking about going to battle Grievous at some point once he spread out possibly in here. But yeah, he didn't want Grievous stealing the lightsaber and using it. So my apologies for not seeing that, not recognizing that was what was going on. I'm sure if I was playing the game, I like to think I'd have been smart enough to do that. But sometimes when you're watching in higher speed here, you miss little things like that. So thank you to Bastion for submitting the game over. Hopefully you guys got to see some moves there, some chess moves between some higher skilled players here. Like I said, both these guys are at the top of the OCS this month. Will they hang on for the next 8 days? I guess that remains to be seen. And hopefully some other top players that I reached out to will submit some game reviews. Uh, Chris Kelly was a wise guy. I asked him for a game to review, and he sent me a link to our match that we played, right after Endor. I was just like, I already have that link. I can watch that game anytime I want to. What do you showing it to me from your side? Okay, it's a little different, but um, I was hoping to get some different links there, but we may end up using that one. I definitely need more links, so if you guys are watching, you have some games, you just have some interesting matchups, whether you win, lose, whether you're just curious about how a deck performed, go ahead and send them over to me. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and you guys have a great night.